Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is May the 20th, and the Cardinals are riding high as I believe they are 15 and 3. Is that right in their last 18? I think that's a number that I came up with at some point.
I
And
think they're 14 and 2 in the last 16, something like that.
okay, there we go. So there's always going to be something with a different number, but they took game one in emphatic fashion last night against the Detroit Tigers, who, by the way, if you are keeping along with your bingo card, is the first team in MLB to reach 30 wins. So nice to see the Cardinals continue the winning ways last night as Sonny Gray showed up when you needed Sonny Gray to show up and was what you paid Sonny Gray to do last night.
Yeah, it was. I mean, obviously after his Phillies start, which was just a clunker, he didn't have much. That was great to see. And the Tigers, they don't have a lot of household names. We talked about this last time, where I said name me players on the Tigers, and you can't name many, but
I
they hit.
did.
But they hit, and they're one of the best teams in baseball. I think they had the best record in baseball.
They
Um,
first team to 30 wins.
Yeah, and they're at 31. So I think they are the best team in baseball by win percentage. They're on a pretty impressive streak right now, and I think we had this thing going around Cardinals Twitter after they beat the Nationals, swept the Nationals, and were on the 8 game winning streak. It was that they were beating bad teams. Now, they're one win away from winning a series, back to back to back series against the Phillies, Royals, and Tigers, who are three playoff teams right now.
Right. And I mean, honestly, throw in Washington, a place that the Cardinals have, it seems like, I don't have the numbers to back this up, but it seems like have always got weirdly in games in Washington. And we talked on here that that was going to be the push right before they went to that Phillies, I guess before they went to DC, then the Phillies and the Royals. They went 7-2 on that road trip. I mean, that's impossible to argue with, to be honest with you. I would have been happy with 5-4 if we're going to be really, really honest. Also, would
Yeah.
like it out there. I did pick that they beat the Phillies 2 of 3. You did think that was the kiss of death, and we were correct. So look at us. Shout out to us. Yeah, that
Also,
was fantastic road trip, and then to come home and get the Tigers game one and show up like they did, 15 runs on the board. I think last night was. Let me just check because I have these stats. But last night, I believe was the 22nd time the Cardinals have had double-digit hits in a game already this season.
yeah, most in baseball, tied with the Tigers for the most in baseball.
Yep.
So the Cardinals have one of the best records at home in Major League Baseball. We knew this the whole year they've been playing well. They're 16 and 6. They started the year out 2 and 12 on the road. They have gotten that up to a respectable 11 and 15 just because of this hot stretch. So now you're looking at it, and they have a plus 45 run differential if you care about that. That's really good. Um, they are neck and neck with the Cubs in just about everything. I mean, the Cubs are on a ridiculous heater with their offense, and maybe this is just who they are. I don't know. Is PCA going to be Barry Bonds the entire year? We'll see. But the Cubs by bullpen is horrible. They blew a lead to the Marlins yesterday and lost. The Cardinals are 1 game back of the Cubs, and the thing that's making me laugh hysterically is I keep seeing power rankings, and the Cubs are like fourth or fifth. And the Cardinals are nowhere to be seen in the top 15, and they're a game behind them. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's don't you believe it's because the expectations were set so low that nobody is willing yet to believe when you only go out and you sign Phil Maton, it feels like nobody, and I don't mean fans. Well, we can talk about that later, actually, if you would like to do that. But I just think that nobody believes that this is real. I mean, I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying that's what it feels like. Everybody's just kind of waiting for the shoe to drop, but that shoe is not dropping. And when you look, I think Brendan Donovan's in what is he third in Major League Baseball or something like that in batting average? Or he's second. There you
Second in
go.
hits.
Nolan, I mean Lars Nootbaar, I think he's like 1 of 1 when it comes to his exit velo and his like all of this. I was reading all these stats. I don't care,
He's
but either
number
way.
Nootbaar is number 1 in leadoff walks and leadoff doubles.
And we can talk about Nolan Arenado asking to be dropped to the sixth hole, which you have talked about multiple times where you would love to see him. We can talk about that a little bit later. But until they prove to be Fugazi, I mean they're for real and they're right there a game back. You talked about the Cubs losing in extra overtime and extra innings last night. There's just no reason to doubt them right now. Now you can still be skeptical. I think fans are that's sports fans. Fans are always skeptical of whatever is going to happen, right? Like okay, this is just one of those hot streaks the Cardinals go through. But until they prove us wrong, I mean, I've been very skeptical about this pitching or staff, but we can talk about their rotation. And I mean, I think they're 10-3 in the last, yeah, 10-3 with a 2.83 ERA in their last 20. That's just from our starting rotation.
Yeah, and the question I would ask you and everybody watching is what about this team is unsustainable? And maybe the answer is the starting rotation. But
I
everything else, like the bullpen doesn't seem unsustainable. Those guys are proven. They've done it. Even if Kyle Leahy isn't the guy that he's been so far, then maybe that's Ryan Fernandez that comes up and fills that role again. Or maybe it's Riley O'Brien or a trade acquisition, whoever. Someone you claim off waivers. The bullpen's not as hard to fix as everyone makes it seem every year. There's always options throughout the entire year. Guys will be DFA'd, guys will be moved around. You'll find somebody to fill that role. The lineup, no one's playing above their head. Obviously Ivan Herrera's batting 420. That's not going to continue. But other than that, who is playing to a level that you think is unsustainable? I don't think there is anyone.
Well, and I think you could also, to further your point, make the argument that Walker and Gorman haven't really done much of anything outside of obviously Walker's home run at Kansas City. That was huge and really
Big
cool to
double last
see.
night too.
Yeah, but I mean, but those two are two guys that we thought were going to be integral parts, not just this year, but hopefully for the future. So you could actually make the argument that the lineup can only potentially get better. Now, I don't know that Brendan Donovan finishes the year second in hitting. He could. I don't know that
Wouldn't
that
surprise
happens.
me.
Right. I don't know that happens, but we haven't seen Nolan. I mean, we've seen Nolan not be Nolan really. I mean, he has a 700 and some like low
I
700
think this. I
OPS.
think this is Nolan.
Yeah, could be. But like you said, I agree that I think the smoke and mirrors concern is with that starting rotation. I think that's for sure. But maybe this is who they are. I don't know that they're going to be this good throughout the entire season, but I don't know if they're going to be dramatically worse. Um, I don't know that answer.
Yeah, and if you look at the rotation, even Sonny's been shaky, so it's not like he's just been dominant the entire time. He's had a great start yesterday. I think Sonny can be better than what he's been in terms of his ERA and everything. I don't think he's gonna be a 4 ERA guy or wherever he's at right now. Eric Fedde was this last year. Like none of us believed it, but he did it last year, so he might just be doing that. Might just be who he is. Michaelis is the concerning one. He's been great, so give him all the credit in the world. I don't know why he's been great, but he has. If he can sustain that, who knows? I don't know. Dusty Blake deserves some kind of award. I don't know what award.
Hold on. I thought we
Libertor.
were supposed to fire Dusty Blake. I thought he didn't know baseball.
Well, people don't like people that use technology. Matthew Libertor. I mean, yeah, we haven't seen it for 180 innings, and we're going to need to see that this year. But every single expected stat is better than his already really good stats. So it's not like it's fake and he's hitting into luck. It's not like when John Gant was walking the bases loaded and getting the most miraculous triple play you've ever seen to get out of every inning. That's not what's happening. He looks really good. And Andre Palante, we saw it last year. So even if one of these guys falters or knock on wood gets hurt, you still have Michael McGreevy waiting.
I was just about to say, for like in the past, it has felt like you're waiting with bated breath for a pitcher not to get hurt because there was no one in the wings waiting. You've got McGreevy in the wings. You potentially have Graceffo. You potentially have Matz. Like you're pretty well backed up. I'm
And
not
Quinn
saying
Matthews is
those
on the
guys
way
are.
his way back.
Right. You're pretty well backed up there if you need to be. And I don't understand the Miles Michaels. I think he was down here in New Orleans and he went into one of those voodoo shops that I won't go into after your mom took my towel in there and I went on after being on the greatest heater in betting in my life and then never won again. So I won't go in those voodoo shops. But maybe Miles went in there and he found one of those like shrunken heads and they did some ceremony. I don't care what it is. You know my thoughts on Miles Michaelis, but whatever it is, I'm happy for him right now, and I'm happy for the team.
Can I be honest too? Like he could be bad the rest of the year, and he still gave you a lot of wins. Like you know what I mean? Like he gave you more
There's
than
the
I
Cardinal
expected him
fan
to.
coming out in you. There's the
And
Cardinal
and
fan coming out in you.
but also like even watching him, like he gets away with pitches down the middle sometimes, where maybe if he's facing a Phillies lineup that's at full strength and firing on all cylinders, and Bryce Harper's not struggling, maybe he doesn't get away with that. Okay, fair. That's baseball. But it doesn't feel like he's getting incredibly lucky. It's not like there's only BBs being hit towards everybody. He's actually gotten better at soft contact. He's striking out more people than he was before. I don't know what he did and what he's doing, but it doesn't feel to me like we're bracing for impact to hit where he's going to give up. His next three starts, he's going to go three innings, give up seven in all of them. It doesn't feel
Right.
like that. Now it could happen, obviously, but I don't. I'm not expecting it. Um, and then the lineup, like we were just talking about it, we were so focused on Walker and Gorman, and a lot of that's because the Cardinals front office was making them kind of the point of the offseason was we need to get these two at bats, which they're not doing. But young hitters are playing well and stepping up. It's just not the two that you thought it was going to be. Like Lars Nootbaar and Brendan Donovan are batting first and third every single day, regardless of handedness, because they've been good enough to earn that, not because they don't have other options. Mason Wynn's legit. I said last time I didn't like Mason Wynn batting second. That was stupid. He's been great. He should stay batting second. He's been awesome. So there's another young hitter stepping up. Your 4 and 5 hitters are Wilson, who's not young, and Herrera, who's probably your best hitter on your team. And then Alec Burleson's raking again in the 7 hole. And Victor Scott's been great, batting ninth. Like it is young guys. It's not like there's a bunch of old guys in here. So it's not the two young guys that we thought it was going to be. But at the same time, who cares? As long
right?
as it's still guys are doing it.
Just to dig a little bit deeper into the pitching staff over the last 30 days, which is roughly, let's say, 5 to 6 starts, right? I mean, because I don't know if Major League Baseball does this over days or over games. So I don't know how that is.
It's days.
Right. So let's say 5 starts each. Miles Michaelis has a 1.3 ERA over his last 5 starts. Libby at 2.3, Fetty at 3.4. Now Sonny at 4.6 and Palante at 4.8. But we saw what Sonny could do last night, and it's pretty hard not. I mean, it's pretty hard to argue with the results. And again, you could go back to if you want to be that guy and you want to argue the rotation. You went to Philly, you went to Washington, you went to KC. You played them, you beat them, you swept the Mets in a doubleheader. Like these are teams that are going to be in outside of DC, but these are teams that are going to be in a playoff hunt. And now Detroit last night, these teams are going to be in a playoff hunt for the rest of the season, and that we truly believe in. There's all you can do is play the teams on your schedule, but it's not like you're playing the Colorado Rockies every night.
Yeah, and also the most important thing to me is they're winning in different ways. Like go back to that Sunday game against Philly, the second half of the doubleheader where they just pummeled Aaron Nola. Sunday gave up 5 in the first inning, and you went down 6-1 in the second inning, and they came back and destroyed them. They scored 14. Like they didn't go. Like I think this team being young, there's a lot of like ignorance is bliss, man. Like okay, we're down 6-1. Does that mean we're supposed to lose the game? I don't know. We're just gonna go keep hitting. Like we'll see what happens. We're gonna go score and see. We're gonna make them score more runs. And if they don't, we're gonna win this game. And then you go to the game in Kansas City where they won 1-0, and Brendan Donovan and Mason Wynn put on one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen in the last 2 innings of a baseball game. Like it was just everything they were doing was incredible. And if you have two guys that are average or even slightly below average there, you're losing that game. But you have the best defense in baseball, which is something we haven't talked
Yes.
about yet. By far the best defense in baseball. This is like 2021-esque defense. Like the Cardinals were incredible that year, but except for they have a shortstop that's better. So it's like they've improved from that because now they
Can we
have
also say, I don't think
Mason
this gets
Wynn.
taught. Sorry, I did not mean to step on. I thought you were done. That's my
Oh, it's
apology.
fine. Go ahead.
Also, I do apologize for the slight back here, but
Oh, me too. Look,
um, it might be hiding, huh?
look at mine.
Yeah,
Look.
yeah. I don't. This room is wild. So usually it's fairly decent. Sometimes it's not. I don't. I'm still trying to figure it all out up in this room. But at least it does hide what your grandma said is I'm getting a lazy eye. So at least maybe you can't see that because next podcast, if this continues, very possible that I will just be wearing sunglasses from now on in our during our podcast. That might be your mom told me I
You're
have to
making a
get.
point, and you
I know,
completely
but I just
went
got
away from it.
sidetracked because I looked in the at the screen and saw the shadow realm that I've been accused of being in before. So I see what they are saying. But at least maybe you can't see the potential lazy eye due to the cataract I have in my left eye, which means surgery, whatever. I'm glad that sunglasses are next and maybe a dog. So that's where we're heading in my life. Either way, I don't even know what I was saying.
I don't,
But
no idea.
oh, the defense. I don't think it, who doesn't get anywhere near enough credit is Wilson Contreras.
Yep.
We've talked before. You never realize you have a good first baseman until you have a bad one, or till you don't, right? And we have seen bad first basemen here. I'm not going to call anybody out, but that we have seen
Jose
bad.
Martinez.
We've you will, I guess. There's others. There are others, but we have seen bad first base play by many people. Wilson has been. I'm not going to say he's going to win a Gold Glove, but he has done everything and then some that you needed him to do at first base. He doesn't have to be Paul Goldschmidt. He just needs to be good. And he has been really good over there.
He's also a psychopath. Like so, Ollie was talking about this the other day. There was that great double play that Brendan Donovan started where he flipped it to Mason after he kind of let it drop and picked it on the one hop, and Mason threw tagged the base at second base and then threw the guy out of third base. The play where Arenado was all fired up, which was also awesome. They're playing with a lot of energy right now. Apparently, well, India was gonna bunt, and then the first time India squared around, Wilson was like 10 feet away from him when and it's like scared the crap out of him. So he swung away the next pitch, and they asked Wilson about it, and they were like, "Are you scared to get that close to the batter because you have no reaction time if he just decides to pull it back and swing?" And he was like, "I don't care. If I die, I'll die right here." What? Who says that? In a baseball game on May 17th or whatever it was against the Kansas City Royals. Who says that? He's a psycho. So it doesn't surprise me at all that he's playing well. Like I think he's like top five in baseball and outs above average at first base, and maybe even better than that. I haven't looked at it updated. This was like 3 days ago when I saw it. But I mean, we were at a point earlier in the year where he was kind of playing there like once, like twice every 3 games, maybe getting off days. He's playing there every day now. They're not even
Yep.
moving Burley there. They're not changing it at all.
No. Did you expect to see Jordan Walker come in as a defensive replacement ever in your life?
No, but it's happened like 3 times, and it's the right move objectively every time.
Agreed. Agreed. I mean, you
Which is a
have to
credit to
keep.
him, by the way, because we talk about his offense and how bad it's been, and it has been, even though he hit that big homer in Kansas City to get that win. And then yesterday he hit a big RBI, two RBI double that started pouring more runs on, and the Royals ended up scoring 4 runs. So who knows? They could have gone back in the game if he didn't do that. But it's a credit to his work in the outfield. Like he was unplayable his rookie year and most of 2023 probably in the outfield. That's how bad he was, and he's become like a positive out there. Like when he's out there, I don't have any worries about it.
Um, and playing Burley, especially against tough righties or against righties, is the right
Mhm.
play and right. Like you have to do that at this point because he is doing what you need him to do, like he always does. And with Herrera cemented at that DH spot, like there's no wiggle room right there. That's who's going to play there. And Brendan Donovan, let's talk about him for just a minute, and we can move on to whomever you want. And we get I kind of want to get to the lineup a little bit with the Nolan stuff. But you look at Brendan Donovan right now, just looking at his numbers, he's hitting 337 with 3 homers and 22 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, and an 867 OPS. I think he scored almost 30 runs, and I think he has 16 or 18 doubles as well. He, I mean, this guy is right now. Is he your starting second baseman in the All Star game?
Without a doubt. Who's even close? Maybe
I
Cattell. I haven't seen what he's done.
what's Tommy Edmond been doing? I'm not going to lie, I don't know.
Good. He's been good, but he doesn't play second base every day.
I know. I'm just saying though, it's a Dodger. Like,
Um,
I mean, now the concern is
I mean, he
Ozzy
might not win the.
Albies, as it will be in Atlanta. Like,
Yeah,
do they stuff the ballot box down there in the ATL?
which
I
shouldn't
don't
be
know that
allowed, by the
answer.
way.
We
You should be
agree.
allowed to vote once.
Yeah,
Once. That's it. Why can you vote 5 times a day? Like that makes
the
no
vote of
sense.
integrity.
I don't get it. Yeah, Brendan Donovan, as of right now, and it's May, so we talked about
Correct.
Nolan
Correct.
Gorman a couple years ago like this, and then he was like 0 for 80, and then it just didn't work out. But as of right now, objectively, he would be the starting second baseman if it was based on performance.
You know what's crazy? Last year, who was our lone All Star representative last year? Do you
Well,
remember?
Hells was there, I know. I don't know if
He
someone else was.
irrelevant. I mean, you're looking. I mean, right now it's May, but I'm tired of prefacing it because all we can do is talk about what's happening right now. But right now, you're looking. I mean, this team could have over five All Stars, maybe more.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Helsley would probably be in that conversation if he continues to pitch strong. They don't have any pitchers. I mean, Libertor would be in the
Libby.
conversation. Mason Wynn and Brendan Donovan both would be in the conversation. Brendan Donovan would be a shoe-in. And then in the outfield, like it would be hard to keep Lars Nootbaar out of that.
I mean, honestly, I don't know what center field looks like, but Victor Scott is making a
Well,
push. I mean,
they don't go by
right?
positions in the
That's true,
outfield.
which I hate. We can talk about that
I
later.
hate it
Every
too. It
other
makes no sense.
position does that except the outfield. Idiotic. But I'm
Actually,
not
well,
saying
part of
he's.
me likes it because outfield has so many stars in right field that where you
I
kind of want to put both of them in.
that's
Like I
fine.
get
You're
it,
right.
but
I
I
mean, I
still think
get
it's
it too. You
stupid.
want the stars in it, but yeah, I mean, you could be looking. I mean, Wilson Contreras is making a push, right? I mean,
Hmm. Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting Herrera. I mean, it's going to be interesting to
Herrera,
see.
right? Like
Yeah,
how
yeah. I
if
mean,
this guy
he's
has a good final 6 weeks before the All-Star break, he might be batting 380.
right, right. So that's wild. I mean, again, long time. We understand that, but that's something to think about. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the lineup. No, and you can get into this, but I know you've been a big proponent of moving Nolan down to the 6 hole where he probably should be. But then for him to go to Ali and express that so Ollie doesn't have to make that decision. Even we can get into the semantics of if Ollie should have made that
I'd
decision
like to
earlier
get
or
into
whatever.
that.
Right, right. That's fine. But give me your thoughts on all of that.
Let's get into Ollie's part perspective first, 'cause I just want to nip this in the bud real quick. This was something I saw on Twitter was like, oh, Ollie's being told how to manage. Guys, he's Nolan Arenado.
Right.
Okay, you have to give him respect. He's earned it. I know he was bad last year. Okay, we've talked about that a lot on here, but he's still a guy that you have to go out there and treat like he's Nolan Arenado. Not only just for him, not only just for Nolan, but also for the people around him. Because if you're treating Nolan Arenado like just some throwaway to put in the seven hole the whole year, then when he talks and speaks in your locker room, does it hold the same weight? Probably, but I don't know. Like the veterans earn respect, okay? They have to he has to be taken out of that spot because he's performing poorly, not just preemptively taken out. Now next year, if he keeps performing this way and he's back on the team next year, then yes, you don't start him batting fourth. But this year, the way that the lineup was constructed, the way almost all of these hitters had performed poorly last year or been injured or whatever, there was no reason not to bat him fourth. Now, I love Nolan Arenado going in there and saying, "Hey, the three guys in front of me are on base constantly. Wilson Contreras and Ivan Herrera are our two best hitters on the team, probably two of our three best hitters on the team. I can't be batting fourth and have those two guys bat behind me when I'm coming short with two outs and two guys on when we have two better options behind me." So I love that. Now, if he was a
Same.
real one, he would have said bat me seventh and put Burley ahead of me, but he didn't say that. Either way, I do really like it. I think it doesn't surprise me because I never thought he was a bad, like not a team first guy. I always thought he was. It was his leadership stuff that was always weird and we talked about. This year he just has a different vibe to him. Not that he doesn't care, because I know he does, but I almost feel like he's starting to care less about his individual achievements during games. Like last night, for example, when they were up, when they had that 3 run inning all on three ground balls to the right side or whatever, he ran his ass off to get out of a double play to get another run in. Those are things that last year he would have put his head down and he would have been out by 20 feet. Um, he's not doing that anymore. He gets fired up. We talked about that earlier with the Mason win when he turned to him and threw it to him for the double play. Like he is a different person this year. And I don't know if
Right.
that was a personal choice or if it's just maybe weight's been lifted off his shoulder because Goldie's not here and he's not trying to and they're not going all in to try to win. I don't know. But whatever it is, I'm enjoying it.
New York Mets fans would love a star who puts his head down and runs hard to first
They have
base.
one. His name's Francisco Lindor.
Right, 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 right. And they would love their other one. The new toy
Pete
that they
Alonso?
have there. Huh?
Do you see Pete Alonso throw the ball over the pitcher's head yesterday? He
I think
underhanded
it's either the
oversight.
second or third night in a row he's had a throwing error. But I'm here, by the
Uh,
way, I'm here if the Mets collapse. If they implode, I'm here for it. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm just letting you know that I'm here for it if it does happen. I did see I'm not a massive Brian Kenny fan, and so we can talk about this when we get to
Me
Major
either.
League stuff. But I'm intrigued. He really did a breakdown on the Braves letting Freddie Freeman go. It does seem like
Are you
that
going to
had
talk
like
about the Arenado stuff?
well, I know, yeah. Well, I mean, you talked about it. You hit it. There's nothing
Okay,
for
I
me
would
to
like to
say.
get your perspective, and before we get to Freddie Freeman being gone from the Braves for 3 years now.
Well, that's where my brain went. But I mean, I agree. There's nothing else to say. I think you hit it right on the head. I love to see it. I love to see the hustle. Maybe he's just at peace. Maybe all like he kept worrying about what the Cardinals were going to do. Maybe he kept worrying about where he was going to get traded, where he was going to have to move his family. All of those things could have been in the back of his mind, and now they're all gone. Like as far as right
Hmm.
now goes. And when
And probably forever.
if the team was 15 and 30 something, maybe he's a different guy, right? But they're
What's that
not.
famous saying? Winning cures all.
Right, right. Or are
And
you
it
happy
does,
if you win, or do you win because you're happy? Right? Like that's the other one.
which
So
is always the
correct.
dumbest one because it's clearly that you're happy because you're winning.
100%. 100%. So yeah, I agree. And I don't know the impact. I mean, we know the impact he has had on Lars Newbar's career. We know that. Like
Mason
Lars has
Wynn's been
been
very loud about
right.
it too.
Yeah. So, maybe he is more under the radar with the guys in the dugout and everything else. I did see Chipper Jones yesterday because Chipper obviously he was who is going to manage the All-Star game, which I love that in Atlanta or be whatever they do. Is
The
he the
Future
manager?
Stars
Yeah,
thing, I
Future
think.
Stars. That's what it is. But he said like when he was in the dugout, he was never like a joke because the thing has always been whatever. As far as him not being the guy to go to talk to. He's like, I wasn't a jokey guy in the dugout, but I was talking to everybody about the game. Like that's what we were talking about. And I think Nolan is kind of cut out of that same jib when it comes to that. And maybe he's not the hey, we're talking about where we're going to eat later or whatever. I think it is all baseball. And I think if you wanted to come up and ask him, he's going to give you what he thinks and tell you what you can do to be better.
And he's even talked about this where when you're a superstar that's at the top of your game, like he was incredible in 2022. One of the best seasons. He didn't win the MVP because Goldie did, but that was one of my favorite seasons of watching a singular player in Cardinal history. With his defense, his fire, how great he was offensively that year. I thought he should have won the MVP, not to take anything away from Goldie, but Nolan was incredible that entire year. Um, and then you fall from that for 2023 and 2024, where now the team's bad and you're bad. So you feel like it's your fault that the team's bad because they were good when you were good, and now you're bad and the team's bad. Um, I do think he's talked about this openly that it's hard to go talk to people and tell them to do this, do that when you're playing poorly because you're trying to focus on what you need to do to be better, and then you're going to go to other guys and tell them what they need to do to be better, but you're not even playing better. So I think it was kind of some imposter syndrome for him, and I'm glad hopefully someone got to him and said, dude, every single guy on this team that's under the age of 28, watch your highlight videos instead of paying attention to their math teacher in third hour. Okay, they were watching your highlights, so
Right.
they all already know who you are. They respect you. They're not going to think any less of you. You're a Hall of Famer. Go talk to them because they'll do what you want them to do because they want to be you. They
Right.
want to get to where you're at. They want that $280 million contract and the highway to the Hall of Fame that you're on. So hopefully someone got to him and said, stop it. We don't care if you're batting 220 or 290. You're Nolan
Yeah.
Arenado. Go talk to them.
Yep. You are going tonight. You're going to get to see Scooble versus Fetty, which
Yep.
lines up as what should be a low scoring game. I don't know what the under is on FanDuel,
Cardinals
but you might want
destroy
to
aces,
check into
so who
that.
knows?
That is correct. That as after what we did to Cole Reagans in Kansas City and Aaron Nola in Philly
And Zach
and
Wheeler,
Zach Wheeler and Christopher
Framber
Oh,
Valdez, they just
Sanchez was
destroy
good.
aces.
Yeah.
Sanchez was really good.
It's going to be interesting. I think that's going to be a fun game for. I hope the fans show up tonight. I know the weather wasn't great last night in St. Louis. What is it like there today?
It's really gloomy and kind of humid, but
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna rain or storm today, as
Okay.
far as I know.
We'll have fun at the game, but you're going to get to see what, in my opinion, is the best pitch. I don't even think it's an argument. The best pitcher in baseball is Tarik Skubal, and I'm intrigued to
There's
see
an
Fetty go.
argument.
Huh?
There's an argument any place for Pittsburgh and through a complete game gave up one run and lost last night.
That's fair. That is fair. But I mean,
Polskin's
I
pretty
guess
good. That's
Scoop.
1-2.
Yeah,
Whatever you want
one
to
and
put.
two. We agree.
And Zach Wheeler's right
Um,
up there as well.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I hope Fetty can go pitch for pitch with him. I'm not saying he has to, but that would be really interesting to see what Eric Fetty comes out. The Tigers, obviously, with familiarity with Fetty, I would assume, as he was on
Hmm.
the White Sox and he's been in the
Yeah.
league for a few years. So I'm assuming that those hitters, for the most part, have a lot of familiarity with him.
Yeah. I He doesn't have to match him. Also like I don't think the Cardinals are gonna get shut out. Like they could. It happens. They got shut out on Sunday against Michael Walker. It's baseball. Anything can happen. But I don't think they're gonna like. It would surprise me honestly if Schoolboy goes like 8 and gives up nothing and strikes out 14. Like I don't think that's gonna be what's gonna happen tonight because the Cardinals offense isn't really built to let people do that. Like they fight. They're gonna battle. Got teams. Pitchers aren't going 8 innings against the Cardinals. Like they're not doing that because their pitch count gets elevated. But yeah, I don't think Fetty needs to go out there. I hope he's not going out there and saying, "Let me match Derek Skubal pitch for pitch," because he's
No,
just not going to do that.
but I do
But
think, but I
their
do
offense has
think,
been good enough to where he doesn't have to.
agreed. And I also think starting pitchers do have that chip on their shoulder. That when they are going against
Some of
the
them,
guy,
yeah,
whether it's Paul Skeens, whether it's Terry Skubal, back in the day when it was Clayton Kershaw, Lincecum, whoever, fill in the blank, right, with all those great pitchers. I do think starting pitchers get that where there's maybe a little more. I'm interested. Maybe his velocity's up a little bit early. It's going to be interesting to see. Now,
90,
can you keep
92.
right? Can you sustain it? Is the difference, right? Can you sustain it? Because
Yeah,
Skubal right now is throwing every pitch harder than he's ever thrown it, and they're even better. So I do worry about
yeah.
Terry Skubal's elbow. We did see Bryce
But
Miller.
knock on
Obviously,
wood.
looks like Jared Jones is go. By the way, both of those guys on my fantasy team. So shout out to my team for having two guys who are probably going under the knife. But I do worry about that with Skubal, obviously. But I think that's every pitcher's concern.
Yeah, every pitcher that throws hard.
Right.
Um, and even the ones that don't. So I want to say something about Fetty. I'm talking about Fetty for a second because this story came out yesterday during the game that I hadn't heard it yet. Maybe I just missed it, but that after the Boston series where they just got pumped, remember they got swept. Michaelis gave up 100 runs on Sunday Night Baseball or whatever it was, and everyone was just pitching horribly. Like Fetty was awful in that series, if you remember, that first game of that series, it was just bad. Where we were coming on here like this rotation's not going to be able to even win us a baseball game. We're going to score 12 runs every game. Fetty apparently was the one that went up in front of everybody and said, "We need to be better. This next turn through our rotation needs to be the best one we've ever had because at this point we're gonna sink our season." Like he was the one that got up and said that. And since then they have like the best ERA in baseball from a starting rotation. So,
Yeah.
I would always think that would be maybe Sonny Gray that would go up and do that, but maybe that's not how Sonny rolls. He might be more quiet and person to person, not addressing the whole group. But shout out to Eric Fetty because whatever he said worked, I guess, if you believe in that kind of thing.
I mean,
Which I
I
don't
think
know
most
if I do, because I
right.
think you could have gone up to Miles Michaelis and had gave him the speech from Remember the Titans, and I still think he would have been bad last year. I don't think it would have helped.
Oh,
But still, nice.
I
It's a nice story.
what if he got up there and ate a lizard?
Miles would be like, dude, that's my thing.
That's my thing. What are we doing? What are we doing? Okay, so Cardinals. You got Scooble versus Fetty tonight. Tomorrow you got Palante versus the old TBD. Seems like the Tigers, by the way,
It
have a
was supposed to be
lot of
Jack Flaherty.
TBDs. I know, but
Jack
right
Flaherty's
now
stuck in the Cardinals.
I think maybe. Although he did dominate them, if we remember correctly, last year when he pitched against them. So that will be interesting to see. Um,
Everyone dominated the 2024 Cardinals.
does feel like that was the case. And then what do you know? Another Thursday off day before the Diamondbacks come in, and the Diamondbacks playing. I mean, they've won two in a row. They just kind of put it on the Dodgers last night, even though the Dodgers got back in it. But that's going to be a fun series this weekend. You go into any of those games?
I'm probably not because I'm poor, but I was thinking about this. Are there any great teams in baseball right now? Genuinely great. Because the Dodgers have a great roster, but all of them are injured. So, like
Yeah,
currently constructed with like reasonable expectations of health, I don't think there's a great team in baseball.
no, I don't either. I mean, you could, I guess, argue the Yankees have a four
Padres?
and a half game lead, but we've talked about
Yeah,
how
but
we
like,
still don't. I know we don't buy it, but they are winning games with the best
yeah,
hitter on the planet hitting in the middle of that
mhm,
lineup. Like that does help.
yeah. But they have Brendan
Oh,
Donovan.
they they have the guy just a little bit above him.
Oh, Aaron Judge. Okay.
Yeah. So, but that I mean, no, I mean, I obviously yes, the Dodgers have a great roster, but boy, the Dodgers every year, like they just know the injuries are coming. It makes you wonder what is in the water
I
out
know.
there in
I mean,
LA.
I think everyone knows exactly why. It's because they get the most out of every player, and when you push somebody to their 100th percentile outcomes every day, their body's gonna say, "Hey, man, I can't sustain this." Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's great when I go out there and give you a 2 ERA for 2 months because I'm throwing 4 miles per hour harder than I ever have in my life. But then I'm not gonna be able to do that for 6 months. So that's what
Yep.
happens. Also, they're signing guys like Sasaki and Yamamoto from Japan. Who Yamamoto, by the way, has been awesome. He might win the Cy Young this year. But those guys aren't used to this schedule. They're not on the 5 day rotation schedule. They're not used to the baseball. They're not used to the travel schedule. So everything's different for those guys. And that's why you saw Masahiro Tanaka when he came over, he got injured. Yu Darvish when he came over, he got injured. So they're building rosters that are fragile. Like they also got Tyler Glass now, incredible pitcher. He's his last name's pretty fitting. He's made out of glass. So it's just they have an incredible amount of talent, but the injuries are going to come when you make everyone perform to the highest capable they're capable of every single night.
Back to where I started when I started to go on my ramble a little bit about Freddie Freeman. That's we can add into that now that we're talking about the Dodgers. It is interesting to sort of see the free fall of the Atlanta Braves since Freddie Freeman
Yeah,
left. And you can blame the agent, you can blame the team. I mean, in the end, they didn't do what they needed to do, I guess, to keep Freddie there. Whatever you can argue, whatever that is. I'm not going to get into all of that.
it's weird for
But
sure.
Freddie's won a World Series in LA.
Mhm.
The Braves, I mean, right now, I don't know what to make of the Braves. Like, I just honestly don't. It feels like, I mean, they're going to get Acuna back, I guess, at some point. Their pitching is okay. I think everybody thought it would be better
Strider's
after,
always hurt.
right. I mean, after Sale won the Cy Young last year.
Hmm.
Austin Riley has
He's
not taken
okay.
the step I think we all thought he'd take. Ozzy Albies has regressed as a player. Now you can blame
Matt Olson
injuries,
too.
right? I, I don't know. I don't know I mean, Marcelo Ozuna keeps hitting. I guess there's that.
Yeah, yeah, he does. That's all he does. I think this is an interesting case study into the psychology of everyone on your team being as comfortable as possible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying these guys don't care. I'm not saying Michael Harris and Spencer Strider don't care as much because they have contracts now. I'm not saying that. But is there something to all 8 guys being like, we're going to be back here the same team next year again anyway?
And
Like,
the
I don't
next
know.
year, and the
Like,
next
if
year.
if you're the Cardinals right now, you don't know how long Contreras and Arenado and Gray are going to be here. You don't know. You don't know if you're Lars Nootbaar, if you're Brendan Donovan, you don't know if Heim Bloom's going to trade you next year. You have no idea.
Right.
So there is a little bit like we come out some urgency. But in Atlanta, is there urgency when you know the same team's going to be here in 2031 that is it this year? I don't know.
Also, remember when fans were outraged that the Cardinals didn't trade Nootbaar or whomever it was for Sean Murphy and signed Wilson Contreras? Remember that? Sean Murphy has
But
been
some people
after.
still think that was a bad contract, even though he's been one of the best hitters
Well,
in
they also
baseball for
think the
two and a
Sonny
half
Gray
years.
contract's bad. Same those same people, by the way, BT Dubs.
And yeah, it's I don't understand people. Like I couldn't care less if Wilson Contreras is standing without a glove in the field. He for what he does offensively, he's worth the contract. So you can say, well, it didn't work out the way they planned. Genuinely who cares and why do you care? Look in the mirror,
Correct.
please. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, why do I care about this? Because you shouldn't care about this. There's more important things going on in the world to care about than Wilson Contreras not squatting behind the plate every single day anymore. I don't care.
We do agree with all of that. Yes, we do
Also,
agree
like
with all of that.
they were able. One of the things that's not talked about because they signed Wilson Contreras, they were able to let Ivan Herrera continue to develop at AAA and not rush him, and now he's one of the best hitters on the planet.
Right. Right. Yeah,
So
I agree. A few more things from around the league for me. Shout out to Schwarbs, our guy Kyle Schwarber, who we have. I'm a massive fan of Kyle Schwarber. I know that you are as well. His 300th career home run. Like it seems like it's quiet 300. We know he hits home runs. I don't think I realized he was that close to 300. I should have, but I don't even think I realized he was that close to. I mean, 300 is a big. That's a big number in the show.
I think it's almost a new 500.
I I
Just the
mean,
longevity of careers and how different it is and how much harder it is to hit in baseball these days. Like, think about how many people are in the 500 home run club, and then think about Mike Trout might not get there. Bryce Harper might not get there. He might not. I don't
right.
know.
What do you have like
Like,
48 RBIs over the weekend or something like that?
like
Bryce Harper
we're
in
talking about like
Colorado.
we're talking about amazing power hitters in our time that are gonna play since they're 19 to when they're 40, and because of how much more rigorous the game is, and how injuries and everything, these guys aren't getting to 500 home runs anymore. So
Yeah.
300 is not anything to sneeze at. Like I don't know if Sammy
No.
Sosa gets to 600, whatever it was, if he's playing today. I don't know.
Right. Well, we have.
Well,
I mean,
actually, I know he
that
won
it
it
doesn't.
because he went on steroids.
Correct. 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 Yeah. I guess it just snuck up on me that he was at
Well, he's had
300.
some like 45. What's he have 3 or 4 40 plus home run seasons?
Yeah. So Brennan Hyde was the second casualty of the year, along with Bud Black and like Bud Black. You think Bud Black just said, "Thank God," like honestly,
I
because he will resurface somewhere, whether it's as a pitching coach, whether it's
bench
as another
coach.
manager, whether it's in the front office somewhere. I mean, you're talking about one of the most respected baseball guys in baseball, right? It's not
Yeah.
even close. He's on that level of Bruce Bochy and those
No,
kind of
he's
like
not.
he's close to that as far as respected. That's what I mean. I'm not saying
I
wins.
mean, yeah, but you
I'm
went to
saying
like
respect
the
wise.
pinnacle. You went to the
Yeah,
pinnacle.
I'm just saying but my point is he's
Yes,
on
he's
that Bob
respected.
Melvin, that Bruce, but like he's on that
Yes, that's
short
better.
list
Yes.
of guys who are very highly respected in baseball. But I think, do you think he just said, thank God, and he like moved to wherever Bud Black is from? I have no clue where that is. And it's just
Could be
like
Colorado. I
enjoying his
don't know.
best life playing golf and getting paid by the Colorado Rockies and talking. He'll probably pop up on MLB Net or on some podcast. And then before you know it, he's back in
Or
the
we'll
game
never
next
hear from
year.
him again.
That could be. That
Um,
absolutely could be.
when I saw that news, I quote tweeted it and said, "Good for Bud Black."
There it is.
Genuine, like
Yeah,
that's how I felt. But the one that's interesting to me, and that's obviously everyone knows, even the people that fired him know that's not his fault. So let's
right.
just get that out there. I don't know if Bud Black's still going to be a manager in baseball. I think he'll probably be an assistant coach sitting next to someone somewhere. Um, but he's assistant manager, I should say. But yeah, let's go. Let's get to Brandon Hyde and Derek
Yeah.
Shelton. Let's lump them together.
Oh, I forgot about Shelton.
Why?
Yet another one, right? Another
Yeah.
one set up to fail,
Why?
who everyone loves also, by the way.
Yeah. Why do owners allow GMs to like brainwash them?
Well, you know
Mike
why. It's
Elias has done nothing good since he became the Orioles GM, other than draft guys who, by the way, like Gunnar Henderson's a great draft pick in the second round. We'll give him that. Adley Rutschman was the obvious number one overall pick. by the way, hasn't been developed to what he can be, I don't think. Kobe Mayo, they won't play. Just trade the guy. Why won't you play him? Connor Norby, they didn't play, and they traded him
And
for
Stowers, by
someone
the
who
way.
hasn't pitched for them.
They
Kyle
also
Stowers has
trade
been really
Stowers in
good.
that deal. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't even think Trevor Rogers has played for the
No.
Orioles at all. Maybe he has. Maybe he's been a relief pitcher. I haven't heard about him. I've heard about Kyle Stowers, who's been awesome to start the year. Like Kjerstad doesn't get opportunities. They keep playing O'Neill and Dylan Carlson, who's back up with him again. Like
O'Neill, by
they
the way,
signed
back
Tyler
on
O-
the injured list.
and they recalled Carlson. He
Yeah.
just brought in Kyle Gibson. Kyle Gibson's now DFA'd. Like, what are we doing? Also, owners who just bought the team and said they're going to spend money. Why didn't you sign a pitcher to replace Corbin Burns in the offseason?
Right.
Couldn't have given
Valid
Sean
question.
Manaea $25 million a year?
Right.
Or you couldn't have given someone with a pulse money? Like, who'd
Yeah.
they give money to?
They have the Orioles right now have the third worst record in baseball.
They're horrible. Like,
Yeah.
you lose Santander, so you lose 40 homers. You Adley Rutschman continues to just not be very good. I don't know if that's
No.
not being
He's
talked
great
about very much.
defensively, but he's
Yeah,
not
sure. But
right.
he's the number one overall pick. Like, you got to be better
Yeah.
than that.
I mean, Jackson
Um,
Holiday, are there questions? Do you start? I mean, Gunnar Henderson hasn't been good. I think Gunnar will hit, but he hasn't been good at
why
all.
is the hitting coach still there? If you're going to
Yeah.
fire the manager and your guys aren't hitting, how's the hitting coach still there?
Right. Yeah.
I don't understand. Was Brandon Hyde in the hitters meetings? I doubt it. I don't think he was. So
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll add one more thing. The Cardinals related. Lance Lynn retired. Brandon Crawford retired. Matt Carpenter retired. Let's shout out Matt
Retired.
Carpenter.
Yes.
Great Cardinal Hall of Famer. No doubt. Anyone who says otherwise didn't watch him or didn't understand what they were watching. He was awesome.
Yeah. I
Um,
saw.
Kyle
Hold on.
Gibbs.
I
Hold on.
don't
No,
get
well,
on.
let me finish
Okay.
this
Go
real
ahead.
quick. Kyle Gibson DFA'd might retire. Those are the Cardinals' four big acquisitions in the offseason last year. And it was all their last years. That's so funny to me. Other than like Kittredge and some relievers. Also, I don't even is Kenyon Middleton alive? Kenyon Middleton alive? He hasn't signed
Don't.
with anyone.
Have not heard a
So
thing.
like and Andrew Kittredge has like blew up something in his leg. So all of them they're all retiring or they're hurt. It's crazy. I just thought that was funny.
Um, I saw somebody post somewhere. It had to be on Facebook because I try to stay off of Twitter. But I saw somebody post something that like a legit question that wanted a discussion if Matt Carpenter was a Cardinal Hall of Famer. Like I was like, okay, we can't.
Matt
Why are
Holliday?
you
Did
even putting what are you doing?
you say Matt Carpenter or Matt Holliday?
Matt Carpenter. Did I say Holiday? I meant
Oh,
Matt
I
Carpenter.
don't know.
Sorry, my apologies,
Um,
Matt Carpenter.
yeah, Matt Carpenter has a ring. I mean, I know he wasn't a big part of that team. He was just like it was like a cup of coffee, but he has a ring. He
Matt
also
Morris is going
was
in. I love Matt Morris. Matt Carpenter probably better Cardinal, legitimately better Cardinal.
if Matt Carpenter started his career today and had the exact same career stats and everything for the next 10 years, he would be looked at much more fondly because of his on base
Yeah,
percentage, because of his doubles, because he had years where he had almost 40 home runs that salsa year. I don't know if he got there or not.
yeah.
Um,
I think
he had
he's
a
close.
He was very close. I don't know if he got. I think he was like 36 or something. Whatever. He would be looked at way differently as a second
Right.
baseman, third baseman, first baseman. Like he was Brendan Donovan on steroids, and I don't know if people understand that.
Back to the Orioles. Cedric Mullins has 10 home runs, by the way. He's the
They
only
won
one
last night
keeping
too.
that team alive. Literally, he's the only one. Jordan Westberg's been hurt. I paid way too much for him in a fantasy draft, but I thought he
I
was going to
wonder
be
who
the
told you
guy.
that.
Well, that's irrelevant. We don't need that. We don't need that right now. But either way, like, yeah, it's I that team has gone from darlings of baseball to sort of like the. I mean, they if this was
You,
soccer,
you
they'd get relegated.
you know who they remind me of? Their trajectory, the White Sox from like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it does feel that way when they were loaded and then Tony destroyed them.
Well, no,
Yeah,
Tony. They were loaded, then they didn't supplement it at all.
right,
And then some of their prospects, Eloy Jimenez, Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada, weren't as good as you thought they were going to be for as long as you thought they were going to be. And you didn't capitalize on the years where they were good. And now, like, I think Gunnar Henderson's a superstar, so I'm going to leave him out of this. He's just struggling. I think he'll be fine. But the rest of them, what if Adley Rustman's just good? And
right,
like he's not great. That's fine for him. That's gonna be a long career for him. But he's not a great player right now. What if Jordan Westberg's just not a above average major leaguer? Like those are all more likely than the outcome where they're great, I
right.
think. And also
Back to the
Cedric Mullins is the
Rockies.
most confounding player in baseball. He's
Yes,
either
absolutely.
great or he's awful. I don't get it.
Correct. Correct. What a great career, though, by the way, for Cedric. I'm a big
Oh yeah,
Cedric
he's
Mullins fan.
carved out a really good career.
Um, Back to Colorado. One, do they get to double digit wins this year? They
Yes.
have eight. Can you believe a
They
major league
played
team has eight on May 20th? 8 wins?
book it now. No, I don't believe that. Look at now, they will beat the Cardinals in a series.
Okay. And two, when
In
do you
Colorado.
start when do you start the discussion with the absolute ineptness of the Colorado's organization of there's a potential that they could be relocated before in the next 10 years? Like, I mean, if you I don't know
They kind
who's
of
going
have
to
it.
advise the
Do they have to
team.
be?
I don't know. I don't know. And again, I don't know what I'm saying is you got to sell the team because the owner out there not doing anything essentially, and
Jake
you got
Monfort's an idiot.
bad GMs also. I mean, bad hires, whatever. Okay, terrible draft picks. Fill in the blank. But you have
Hmm.
proven over the course, the life of this organization, that you can develop pitching, you can draft and develop. It doesn't mean they're going to be successful for a long term, even a 3 year run in Colorado. And it hasn't happened.
One
Like
year.
it,
One year
right. That's
run.
what I'm saying. So and also what it also does is we saw obviously back in the day when Mike Hampton went there for all the money. We saw how that ended up. You're not going to attract anyone, any top pitching free agent
Mm.
ever to Colorado
Not that they
unless
even
they are
tried, but
31
still.
years old and you give them a 7 year insane monetary, I mean, their last contract.
And they know they're injured.
Right. That's it. I mean, so
Like Chris
honestly, I'm
Bryant.
being dead serious. When you see, like, when you hear expansion places like Portland or Nashville or San Antonio or Charlotte or fill in the blank, right? Like, fill in the blank. At what point does that start to get really loud? Because the Colorado Rockies, they're not holding up their end of the bargain at all
No.
as a Major League Baseball
Um,
franchise.
Here's what I'll say. I think Coors Field is one of the great stadiums in baseball. One of my favorite. It's
Zero
beautiful.
argument.
Honestly, shout out to Rockies fans. They always have like at least respectable attendance numbers. They're always in the middle of the pack, even though their teams are always bad. I think the jerseys are amazing. You go back to those teams with Larry Walker on it. You go back to the team with when Carlos Gonzalez was really young and led them to the World Series, and they lost in the World Series that year with Matt Holliday and all of them. They had I don't know if that team will ever be able to be truly a World Series contender. Now, I
Agreed.
say that going back a few years, before the Cardinals got Arenado, that year with Arenado and Story and where everything was clicking, Carlos Gonzalez was still there. They had a pretty good team. Were in the playoffs, but I don't know if it's sustainable unless you develop pitchers that throw really hard and won't get affected by altitude. And I don't know if there's anyone like that.
Right. That's agreed. Agreed. And it just makes you, I mean, I kind of feel the same way about Tampa. Like, I don't know how there's still a team in Tampa. Like, I don't know how that continues
They don't
either.
have a team in Tampa. They have a team in
I,
St. Petersburg.
I understand. You know what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if the Oakland A's, first of all, the prestige of the Oakland A's can move to Las Vegas. You can't convince me that the Colorado Rockies are going to stay in Denver much longer.
Where
I
are they going to move though? They don't have another team around that area. It's so
well, that's
like
what I'm saying.
isolated
Like,
from everyone.
you could go to Portland.
I mean,
I mean,
a
that's been the
fourth
talk.
baseball
Salt
team.
Lake
I don't know.
City, right? Salt Lake City's like the new
I hate this. I
darling.
don't want them to move out of Denver.
I'm not saying I want this. I'm just simply saying they're literally we're playing with 29 teams almost every year in Major League
Yeah.
Baseball because the Rockies do. I mean, you could almost say 28 because of the Pirates. Like, if we're going to be really honest, at least the Pirates have Paul Skeens, but he ain't going to be there much longer. We know that he's not signing an extension there.
Oh, I know. If we can wrap this conversation up and then talk about one more thing before we get out of here, because I
Yeah.
want to talk about Paul Skeens. If you're the
Okay.
Pirates, do you trade him?
Okay, here's the problem. Does it matter? Like, does it really freaking matter? Yeah, in theory, yes,
Okay,
absolutely. But they're not.
co-
Whoever you trade, let's say you trade. Who has the best farm system in baseball? I don't know that answer, right? So whoever it is,
maybe the Red Sox.
okay, sure. Let's say you trade him to Boston, which would make great sense for Paul Skeens, and you get, let's say, the King's ransom of 6 of their top 10 prospects. That's obviously insane, but I'm just saying, let's say you get that.
That's what
You
you
get
get.
Marcelo Meyer, you get Tristan Casas, whoever's on there, or Christian Campbell, whoever's on there, right?
Roman
Whatever's on
Anthony.
that
Yeah.
list. It's not going to matter because Nutting is not going to surround them with anything else. He's only going to pay those young players until they get to their extension contract, and then he's
Yeah.
going to trade those guys for new young guys that he's never going to build
Yeah, but
around.
would you rather
So
have 5 years of those young guys that might be really good, or would you rather have 2 more years of Paul Skeens before you trade him?
it's a great question, and I'm sure that it's one of those that
It sucks that we
like
has asked
they
this question for Pirates fans
agreed,
because
agreed.
it should be this should be he should already have a $300 million offer on the table to stay
And,
at
and
Pirates
the
for
answer
life.
should be that you have an owner and a GM who are now going to commit moving forward to build around Paul Skeens. They didn't go out into that offense is dreadful. I mean,
It's horrible.
Brian Hayes cannot hit, but he's a great defender.
No.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
O'Neal Cruz, did you watch him play center field on the daily? That's disgusting out there. Like,
Why is he in center field?
another great question. Brian Reynolds, was he doing anything at all this year?
What
I
was
haven't
Brian
paid. I
Reynolds
like
told?
Brian
No, he
Reynolds.
hasn't. He's been bad. What were Reynolds? And I know some of these guys have varying degrees of being bad or whatever. But what were Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, and Mitch Keller told to stay where they signed a contract?
Yeah,
Why did any of them sign a contract there? Other than
and
the fact that the stadium's beautiful and you're playing, maybe they like low pressure. I don't know. But what were they told that made them think that, yeah, I want to spend 10 years of my life here?
Primanti Brothers sandwiches for life. That's the only thing I
And like
can
Brian
think
Reynolds
of.
didn't even sound like a crazy deal. Remember, like 2 years ago, Brian Reynolds was the shit. He was like everyone was
Yeah,
talking about trading for him and extending him. Why
yeah.
did he sign a contract? He
I
would have
don't
probably
know.
gotten
I
more
don't
money
understand it.
if he like got traded to the Yankees and they extended him. I don't
Right.
get it.
Last thing I've got, and I saved it for last for an absolute reason, because if you are still watching, by the way, thank you very much for listening. We greatly appreciate you. If you could hit that follow or subscribe button, that would be awesome as well. Those numbers are starting to go up, probably because we are finally doing more podcasting. But like we said, also, by the way, before we get to what I wanted to talk about, shout out to you for graduating from University of Illinois. That was a fun weekend. That was a cool ceremony. It was so hot, everyone got sunburnt, but only because we're
My
sitting in the
nose is
sun.
peeling.
Yeah, right. It was wild, but that, yeah. So big. You should. I know you don't take time to look back at that, but that's a pretty damn big accomplishment.
Yeah, thank you. I have imposter syndrome about that, by the way. That's the second time I've said that this episode. Because I don't think it was as hard as I thought, as I think people thought it was. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Like I graduated, I was like, I think I
Man,
should have just, I think it would have been bad if I didn't.
but that's good for you that it is. So next step is law
I
school.
don't
So
know.
maybe
I
that'll
talked
be
to Grace about
easy.
this. I talked to Grace about this yesterday. I was like, people keep like saying how big of an achievement this was. I just felt like I was in high school again. Like,
That's good. That's great to know. That's great to
now I
know.
sound like now I sound like an arrogant asshole for all the people
No,
out there
you
that didn't
don't.
graduate
No, you don't.
college.
Not at all.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. Whatever. I
Some
feel like I
people are
expected
just
it to be
really
more
good at school.
challenging.
Maybe you're one of them.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I wasn't
I mean,
valedictorian or
you. I
anything.
mean, I would say the track record would suggest so.
All right, what was your thing?
Okay, the last name was Pete Rose, and I saved it for last
Oh,
because I really like. I just feel it's like something we have to talk about, but I don't want to spend a lot of time on it because I'm not going to lie when I say I couldn't care less. Right? If you look at Pete Rose's career, should he be in the Hall of Fame? It's not even an
yes.
argument. Yes,
No, yeah.
right. But I think that the problem is people take these Hall of Fames way too damn seriously, including the voters and whatever. Right?
I don't agree with
Whatever.
that.
Okay, in my opinion, it's a
It's a very
museum. He's
meaningful award.
memorialized there. I get it. But I I also am in complete agreement with Chris Rose and what he said as far as you can use the ethics clause and you should use the ethics clause probably for Pete Rose. You can make their Ty Cobbs and their church speakers and we know. We know back in the we know voters are way different in 2025 than they were in the 1960s or whenever it was when that opened. We
Mhm.
understand all of that.
Because the
Let's move
voters were doing
forward.
the
We're
same things
trying to
those
move
guys were
forward as a
doing at the
country,
time.
even though some people don't see it that way. Okay, so let's try to move forward. You can, and also get the feeling, I'd love to get your take on this, that the baseball writers are going to do all they can. You could call it collusion if you want, but to not vote for him to get in.
They shouldn't. Okay, I don't want to dance around this topic because I don't think he deserves that. There are court documents where he admitted to sleeping with someone he thought was 16 years old.
Correct.
So that means she might have been younger than 16 years old.
She was
We don't
15.
know.
She was 15.
All we
We
know for
know.
sure is that he thought it was okay for her to be 16. And no, he wasn't 20 years old, which still would be gross. He was 30 something years old, around like in his mid 30s, I believe, when this happened. He went to court to fight this case, by the way, because he thought he was in the right. Um, he also knowingly gambled on baseball. And you want to say, people always argue, well, he gambled on his team to win, so who cares? Okay, so if you're a reliever that's thrown for 4 straight days because your manager has decided that he wants to gamble on all these games and he needs you to win and you get injured, I wonder why that happened.
Right.
So it's not just good. And also, by the way, we don't know for sure that he didn't gamble on his team to lose. We just know that he for sure gambled on them to win because what he said.
Correct.
He admitted these things, by the way. They're not alleged. These are in a book, which he wrote. He also gambled on thousands of other games across the league. And yes, if you were wondering, he probably knew people on those teams where he could have talked to them if he wanted to. So all of these things line up to where there's zero reason he should be in the Hall of Fame. None. Guess what, guys? He is already memorialized in the Hall of Fame. His bat
Correct.
is in there. His spikes are in there. He probably has a hat in there. Same way David Freese has his bat from when he hit the home run in Game 6. It's in there. If you go to the Hall of Fame, don't say, well, they're keeping a big part of the history out. They're not. If you go to the Hall of Fame, you'll see Pete Rose is the hit leader. It's in there. You'll see Barry Bonds is the home run leader. There's zero reason Pete Rose should be honored in this sport.
Right.
Zero.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think
if you
it's pretty. I mean,
disagree, I think you need to look inwards about yourself and your morals. Please. That's all I've got.
also, I mean, you can add to it. He lied for 15 years about it, and then finally, when he started to realize he needed some money and he needed some other things, he finally came clean. So you can add that into it as well. Um,
Which makes you
what,
wonder, what was he not telling you?
right, bingo. Where do you stand on Shoeless Joe? Because I'm done now talking about Pete Rose.
I don't know because I do think you look at the stats from that Black Sox World Series. Was it 1921? Is that what it was?
1919.
No, I was close. If you look at those stats, clearly he wasn't trying to lose. Okay, that's obvious. He had like 480 or something crazy in that World Series. However, his name was signed or was on the thing, whatever it was. Didn't they sign something? His name was on it.
Yeah, he was illiterate, right? So he didn't like. That's the
Yeah.
argument he's
So
always
the argument is
made.
that he had maybe some um I don't know how to say this correctly. He wasn't aware of what was happening. Let's just say that.
Correct.
Um, I don't know how you can prove that. I don't know if you can prove it. I think it's absolutely laughable that other members of the Black Sox have also been reinstated. That's insane. There's one of the biggest stains in the sport of baseball in history.
The
Um,
biggest.
I don't understand why we're doing this as a whole. Why is Rob Manfred and reinstating people that made the sport objectively look horrible for for 100 years now? It's looked bad because of what they did. I don't
Well,
understand, and I
potentially when
don't
you're
want to get into
threat.
Donald Trump,
Right,
but
right. Yeah, yeah. I won't say it. I won't
regardless,
say it.
like, why is this even a talking point? No,
Yeah, yeah.
honestly, my stance is no. He shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, again, can I be honest? I don't care.
I won't be mad
You
if
know
he
what? I'm.
is,
You know the one thing I care
but
about is that I'm going to be, and you've said this earlier, and I agree with you because it was my first thought as well. I'm going to be incredibly pissed if you and I are in Cooperstown, New York, to see Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina go into the Hall of Fame, and it's fucking Pete Rose Day. Also, that's what I'll say.
yeah,
That's the one. That's my only concern out of all of this is that they will overshadow Albert and Yadi because of that d bag getting into the Hall of Fame. That's all I can
yeah.
say.
My last thing I've got on this, then we can wrap it up and get out of here. Be a good person, and things like this won't happen to you.
Just be an average person and things like this won't
No,
happen to you.
be
It's
a
better to
good
be
human
good.
being. Be
Right.
a good human being,
Yeah.
and bad things like this won't happen to you. Don't
Correct.
say, don't, please stop acting like something bad happened to Pete Rose. Pete
Right.
Rose did bad things and got
Right.
consequences.
Like he was a
That's all I've got.
victim. Yep.
Yeah, he's not.
Agreed. All
There
right.
were
Well,
victims in this
so
situation. He was not one of them.
have a great time at the Tigers Cards game tonight. For those of you, I think kids are kids still in school. They're out down here, but I think in the St. Louis
Some are
area,
out,
there
some
a lot
aren't.
of
It
schools
depends.
still going on. So that makes it tough to get down to the game. But is tomorrow a businessman special Wednesday afternoon game or is it a night game since they're off on
It's an afternoon
Thursday?
game. Afternoon.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you got some opportunities to get there, and then this weekend, depending. I mean, it's a Memorial Day weekend. Holy shit! Memorial Day weekend this weekend. You got the Diamondbacks. That is a fun team to watch, and we'll be back Thursday to talk about them. But get down to the stadium. I hate. We'll talk about that next time. We'll talk about the attendance and everything else. I hate.
Support the players.
Yes, bingo. And also, like, just have fun. Like going to baseball games is fun. I miss it. That's what I will say living down here.
Mhm.
So get down there, support the team.
Okay, finish the outro. Sorry, I messed something up.
All right. We will be back Thursday, hopefully with another series win from the Cardinals. And go Cards.